I hope that's pointing nicely. Hey everybody. I got asked about a couple of videos. One was cold weather milking and cold weather hand milking, and the other one was milking short-teated cows. So Glitzy is my only cow that I'm milking now. Everybody else is dried or very nearly dried. So cold weather milking, I just generally only ever dry cloth. Wipe the udder, wipe the teats, make sure that I clean the cleft really well, and then the side of the udder, between the legs. Oh, my little girl's letting down already. For those of you that aren't familiar with Glitzy, she is a 19-month-old heifer. She was one of our very rare, but it does happen, teenage pregnancies. She was bred one day while I was at work when she was 6 months old by Toro, our mini Jersey bull. It's just a regular dry terry cloth towel. Every cow has her own assigned cloth because it's just glitz in the barn. I'm not worried about, you know, whose cloth is whose. But generally, everybody has theirs hanging where their spot is. It's snowing here today. Pardon my sniffling. We're just right at the freezing mark. So it's not real cold. But the snow and the humidity, you know, all the rest. And I just make sure that I got her wiped down so that she's not going to drip into my bucket. Let's step over. Just a step. Come on. Come on, my cow. So anyways, Blitz calved at the end of June. And for the most part, she just raised her heifer calf. Happy. Get over and set up. Thank you. And she has been the most pleasurable heifer I have ever milked. She took to milking just like it was an everyday thing. And she's moved out of frame, I'll bet. There we go. Sorry, I'm my own camera guy again. So, not only am I milking a short-teated cow, or short-titted, as I grew up calling them. My hands are getting pretty crippled up with arthritis, and my right hand has got trigger finger really bad. So I really only can use my thumb and my index finger, so it works for milking her. So I just kind of, my thumb is the constant. It doesn't do any flexion or any pressure. It's my index finger that does it all. Boy, I hope you can see it. Maybe I should move that again. Nice thing about her, I can do this sort of stuff. She doesn't get upset with me. She doesn't stop letting down. She's just an awesome, awesome little cow. And of course, I have to use buckets. Hold it. I really need somebody to be my secret Santa and give me a GoPro. No, that's not going to work there. How about right there? What is that? That looks like my finger's in the way. I think maybe. Oh, no. Think that will do it? I hope so. I'm sorry, guys. Anyways. Look at you. You're such a professional. You just stay sat up. She is such a good little cow to milk. A good little heifer to milk. That our granddaughter, just before she turned 12, decided that she was going to learn to milk one of Grandma's cows. And she learned to milk Glitzy. And it became a real regular routine. She milked Glitzy twice a day because Glitzy's heifer, being half miniature, couldn't keep up with the milk supply. And although we didn't want to put a big demand on Glitzy, we definitely wanted to, establish production and maintain a healthy udder, especially considering she was just 15 months old, 15 and a half months old when she had Happy. I should not have coughed like I did. I should have absolutely turned away from my cow. We can spread staph to our cows, especially when we're hand milking, and especially in the cold of winter, because when we hand milk, we try to keep our hands as warm as possible, right? So we end up wiping our nose, or we end up coughing, and touching teats. And that's just one really good way to spread pathogens, spread bacteria. So we just need to be cognizant of what we're doing with our hands and where we're placing our hands. And I think, especially nowadays with this whole COVID thing, we are being a little bit more conscious, of our hands. I hope you can see the milk in the rear teeth there. What, honey? And just like us people, we're not symmetrical. Cows are not symmetrical. Glitzy's right rear teat is longer than her left rear. So I can actually use my hand on it as opposed to thumb and finger. So because she calved end of June, we like to keep our cows in milk for no less than 6 months. But that's dependent upon the cow too. Like some of them, they don't maintain their condition really well. Some of them are struggling to get through the cold, especially the first few cold snaps. And especially if they just come off a dairy. They live in a very controlled environment on the dairy. And when they come to the homestead lifestyle, they don't have that really controlled environment like they were born into or worked in. Okay, can you sit up again, my girl? Come on, atta girl. So set up is something, hey, excuse me, that my grandmother taught me. It was my grandma that taught me to milk. Set up. Come on. And my mom. And I know my dad did milk, but I never milked with my dad. Mom spent a lot of time in the field with Dad when I was growing up. I was the oldest. I have a younger brother and a younger sister. And so the looking after my brother and sister and the barn chores were my responsibility. And that included milking cows. And I was 5 or 6 years old when I first started milking cows. And I think by the time I was 12, I was up to 4 and 5 cows, just depending on, you know, what we had at the time. It wasn't long after, you know, all 3 of us left home that Mom and Dad got rid of the milk cows and just stayed strictly with the beef cows. I know, I'm taking forever. She's probably one of the most conscientious about her feet cows I have ever milked. She knows where she's stepping. She knows if she's put her foot on mine, and she won't bear weight on that foot. It's kind of nice to be treated with such regard by a cow that you milk. So, anyways, back to the whole milking 6 months thing. Sorry, I'm kind of like a squirrel. I get a little distracted, or crow, you know, magpie, bright shiny things. So I'll milk her through to the end of the year. Of course, excuse me, because she's so young, her body condition is going to dictate just how long I do milk her. I had her preg check once, and that was on the 12th of September, and she was open, but she had a very large follicle, so she was coming into a heat cycle. I'm not done yet, but I have not had her preg checks since. I will get the vet back, and we'll do another preg check. I've got 2 others that need to be, 2 other 2-year-olds that need to be preg checked. So we'll get Stacy back, and she'll check Glitz, and she'll check Rosie, and she'll check Farron. We haven't really decided what we're going to do with the 2 beefy girls, if they're open. Sometimes 2-year-old heifers have a tough time breeding back for the very, very first time. There's a heck of a pile of things going on with 2-year-old heifers. Like, they're still growing, and they're starting to lose their milk teeth and get their permanent teeth, and they're, you know, having to make milk for the first time, and there's just so much going on for them. And sometimes fertility takes an absolute backseat to everything else going on with that heifer. Okay, do you mind? I'm talking here, so I'm not going real fast. Besides, we've got lots of grain to eat. Yeah, I feed grain. I do what's best for my cow, what my cow needs, not what I need, what I want, not what my ideals are. It's all about the cow, the calf, the bull, the pigs, the dogs, the horses, whatever. It's my duty to my livestock, our livestock. Glitz, come on, sit up. Come on. Thanks. So if my cow is struggling to hold her weight, I don't expect them to get fat, but I expect them to be able to hold their weight. If they're struggling to hold that weight, well, then I'm going to give her grain. And depending on the time of year, she might get more corn, because corn has some of the highest British thermal units, BTUs, of any feed available. Sometimes I might feed a ruminal bypass fat, so it's protected from melting in the rumen, and it melts through the rest of the digestive tract. Get set up. Quit being like this. Where it's absorbed, basically in the hind gut. I'll feed wheat if they need a little more protein, or alfalfa pellet, or whatever. It's all about the nutritional requirements of the animal. So Glitzy is getting a cracked corn, rolled barley. Oh, so you can see the shelf made by the short ribs. I don't know if we can see it from this side, not so much. How about round here? You can sorta see it. I can see between her ribs. And she doesn't have a lot of flesh here on the shoulder or over her thigh and down the top part of her back leg. And in our country, it gets really cold and it gets really deep. So having extra fat on them is ideal for our situation because they don't live in the barn. And at this point, the barn isn't ready for them to live here. The babies get grain. They've had theirs already. The beefy girls have come up to get behind our pellet wind fence. And there's Jam. So anyways, that concludes my, oh, there's baby Happy. Cold weather and short teat hand milking session. Hope you enjoyed. Later.